Welcome to this training video on the Univox loop designer. In this part we're going to have a closer look at the different loop configurations that we use here at Univox. The first and most basic of all designs is a perimeter loop, which will just take your conductor around the perimeter of the room. It's a simple design and works fairly well in small and up to medium-sized rooms that are not attenuated by where the field strength is not attenuated by metals in the construction. So the loop wire is just goes around the perimeter. The field strength on the 2D chart will look like this. If you place your cursor on any of these small blue dots, you can see the exact value at a certain point in the room. So here is about 3 meters into the room. We have a field strength at minus 1.5 dB. So, and over here is what we would call overspill. So if I want to look further outside the room, I can increase this value. So over here, I see I'm looking at 5 meters outside the room. So if I increase this, or rather decrease it to 10 meters, I will be able to look further outside the room. But that's our perimeter loop design. The next one would be the cancellation loop, which will look like that. Cancellation loop is a design aimed at decreasing overspill in one direction. So if I want to look further outside the loop in this direction, I do that. Actually, I'll do it on both sides. And you can see that the overspill is at least slightly controlled over in this area. The next loop design would be the figure 8. Click on save. It's going to create a 2-segment figure 8 for me. Click on plot. You can see here you'll have a null zone directly above the wire here. As the figure 8 has 2 smaller segments, a perimeter loop has just one big segment, but this has 2 segments. It's going to create a little bit less overspill than than you find in a perimeter loop, and that will eventually take us into the phased array designs, which is just a continuous figure 8. So the smaller the segments, the less overspill the design will create. I can increase my number of segments. Next figuration takes me into my SLSs. I continue with just an SLS version of this. We add a slave, and it will perform like that. If I want to, I can increase or decrease my current. I'm going to increase it. I increase the slave. Click on save. You can see what that did to the performance. One good thing about the SLS no stop loop design is that it's very even across the plane. If you add segments, it's going to draw a little bit more power from your system, but will produce an even more even field strength throughout the area. Next design would be the efficient, which has click on default. The efficient design is based on our standard design, which I will come to shortly, which has 2 cancellation loops towards the ends, and the middle segments they're going to be as big as the attenuation allows you to. If you remember from the first video, we work according to certain rules based on attenuation, and the more attenuation, the smaller the segment size needs to be in order to get a full frequency response in your loop system. So the next one would then be the SLS standard, which looks exactly the same, only in there we go. I have to click on default segments. I plot that. In an SLS standard, the main segments will always be as close to 2 meters as the width of the room will allow. So if I make the room larger, then it will just add segments as close to 2 meters in width as possible. And the same thing goes for the ultra low. There again, change design. I have to click on the default segments, save, and I plot. With the ultra low, the aim is always to have the main segment at 1.5 meter widths, and the smaller the segments are, the less overspill will be created. And those are all our standard